right, this is the first ever episode of the Just Like Bruddas podcast, live here from Harvey Brooks Field here in Princeton. So if you can't really hear us, there's a lot going on. There's a band practicing. There's football practice.
There's track and field practice.
Track and field practice.
Everybody's practicing. We're practicing too.
Yeah, this is practice for us as well. So yeah.
Right. So
introduce us, please.
All right. I am Kai Jones, the owner of WJG Sports. This is Laika Abibi. I still can't get it right. We've known each other for
oh my god. Anyway,
3-4 years.
But yeah, I'm Laika Abibi, and our guests this week are the WGBR Game of the Week crew right here. Averil Williams and Andrew Stevens, thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. I've been waiting to be on this podcast all season.
I know.
He's excited.
I know. We've had a long wish list of guests, and this is two that we really wanted.
Yeah.
Y'all should have had us week one. We would have done
I know. But hey, we chose
great.
but we did choose the right time.
We chose a big game. Of course, we're out here at Princeton because the game of the week for WJG Sports, for WGBR, is, of course, Princeton-Rosewood for the 1A Carolina Conference title.
Man, that's going to be one heck of a game.
Yeah. Winner takes all, pretty much.
It is, and the winner's going to get both of these teams should get a good seed in the playoffs, but the winner's going to have bragging rights once again for the county, for the
and of course, Andrew, you gave us a big stat here. How many straight has Princeton won in this series?
So 7 in a row.
Yeah.
And then just, you talking about what's at stake from the conference standpoint, I think from a historical standpoint, there's a lot at stake too, and that doesn't necessarily translate over to trophies or, what happens in the playoffs, but you look at Princeton never having a 10-0 regular season in program history, so opportunity to do that on Friday night. Rosewood hasn't won a conference championship since 99. Last week they secured back-to-back 9-win seasons for the first time since 98, 99. So just a lot at stake from a historical standpoint as well.
Right. I think one of the big things that's going to be talked about for you guys on the radio broadcast is the possibility of a return of Harley Bartholomew.
Yes, that's right. You saw that tweet from his father,
Rick
saying that he was cleared.
Bartholomew broke the rules. He is cleared for activity. Now, of course, Gasser is being very close to the vest, whether or not.
But our sources say that you might see him Friday night.
Yeah, you'll probably see him on Friday night.
I think,
of course, Harley, before he went out, he was probably maybe their best defensive back, and then also their second best rusher. So,
and of course, and on a team that's had a really good season defensively, I think the most they've given up is 24, and they've had a lot of games where they gave up no more than like 6 or 8 points.
Yeah,
they're that good on that side of the ball. Having Harley back would be a huge help for them this week.
And have y'all seen him in person this season at all?
Yeah, I've seen Princeton. I saw him against North Johnson. Saw him against South and North.
I have not seen Princeton, but I have seen Rosewood twice.
Now, how has Princeton looked to you guys as far as compared to all the teams you've seen all season? Are they the best teams you've seen all year?
Princeton is top 3, definitely top 3. Between them, Rosewood, and Cleveland down the road here in Johnson County.
Yeah, those have probably been the 3 best teams in the WJG coverage area this year.
Yeah.
I would say Cleveland probably at the top with how talented they've been. And outside of one,
I don't know if y'all have heard anything about Cleveland or they have a freshman running back who already has a sophomore running back who already has an offer from Duke.
Marion Hampton, yes. People are going to know his name very, very soon.
We believe that a certain SEC team will be down here soon enough to come pick him up.
Actually, not just that certain team, but a lot of teams from that conference and all of the power conferences. But of course, this week is a huge game for me. This is my first football game covering in Johnston County.
This is my first Princeton-Rosewood football game.
Wow!
So get ready.
Yeah, it's gonna. I know it's gonna be.
So you guys were here last year. Talk about what you kind of saw last year here.
Well, last year was our first year doing play-by-play, and it was, first of all, it was the atmosphere was like, as the Rock says, electric. Right. The electricity was just unbelievable. You see the fans. We were at Rosewood last year, and you could feel the vibe and the energy of the players, getting from the crowd and everything. And it was, like I said, the first half was a tight game, even though the score kind of was lopsided there, but you could tell they were fighting hard.
Absolutely.
And you can see at the end of the results, during playoffs, Rosewood went on to almost to the state semifinals,
right? Except
for one play with them to the state championship. But this game here is, I think, it's more. Even if it wasn't for the championship, it's more personal because the two communities, right down the road from each other. They are, and of according to some of the people we talked to, this is the school down the road.
Yeah, school down the road, school up the road. I mean, they're both. I mean, Highway 70 is how you get to both places. Of course.
think for me, last year, being over at Rosewood, it reminded me of when these two teams met in 2012 in the third round of the state playoffs, and having covered that game. Used to be a sports writer for the News Argus,
right?
And for about 6.5 years, and that playoff game, getting there hour and a half before kickoff, and literally not being able to find a parking spot at Rosewood, and then last season, just fans on both sides wrapped around the fence, and then the game itself was 24-21 Princeton at halftime, and we felt kind of like at the half that Rosewood had given Princeton its best punch, and it's a 3-point game at the half, and so you're expecting kind of a similar second half, and you just wonder if adjustments that both teams made at halftime, some of them translated and some of them did not, because it was 28-7 Princeton in the second half. And then you go back and look at the box score from that game that I did this week, and you remember, wow, they rushed for 449 yards and 7 touchdowns.
My goodness, that's a lot.
And that single wing just got rolling in the second half. And we had Coach Brooks from ACOC on our broadcast last week at the North Dukeland Rosewood game, and talking to him off air about the differences between Princeton's single wing and North Dukeland's split back veer, and he said, the difference is Princeton's single wing, it's all downhill and it gets on you in a hurry, whereas that split back veer, there's a lot of deception, and is the quarterback going to keep it or hand it off or get to the edge and pitch? And
see, and the thing about Princeton mixes in some of that as well, because you see sometimes they'll fake the handoff and then just run behind. So now you have a blocker in front of you, and everyone's kind of just getting right downhill at you.
So you think about last season, and you just wonder, Rosewood's had a year to reflect on that.
Right.
What adjustments have they made to their defensive scheme? Because we saw Rosewood in the playoffs a lot, and the thing that their defense hung their hat on was the ability to stop the run. So to watch that last year was alarming because it was so out of character. So I'm fascinated to see, this season, a year later, what have they done to stop that single wing? Because it's coming for 4 quarters, but can you stop it?
Right. And I think the thing that the single wing does to you is it wears you down. It's really hard to contain that for 4 quarters. I don't think that this game is going to be the type of game where someone pulls ahead. I think this is going to be just one of those games that last possession probably wins it. I think it's going to be a shootout.
I know we saw last year Rosewood team to be a little more bulkier inside. This year they're leaner. They're faster. Rosewood's back to Monty Fenty and Avanti George, we call him AG. Those two right there, those two guys alone are so quick on both sides of the ball. They're going to be it's going to be deadly. And if they get that passing game right with Davian Thompson, Zach Brogdon, Jack White, it could be a, like you said, it could be a shootout. That being said, I know watching Princeton and I don't know the fatigue. Discipline is going to be big in this game.
I definitely agree.
We've seen Rosewood come to the edge of discipline in the last 2 weeks. So I don't know if it's going to come to an edge here because this game is personal.
Right.
You get a little chippiness early on, a little bumping of, shoving a little bit here and there, so and so. Yo, man, what's up? I got you. Before you know it, it's 25. It's 25-3. I mean,
right.
So I don't know. I don't know what to expect from this game. I know y'all said it might be close. Me and Andrew kind of think it might be a little more open. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
We just got to. Yeah, I was gonna say we just got to let these two great rivals play it out.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. But that's the great thing about this game. You get to see these teams play it out. I'm glad it's always the last game of the year. I think that's perfect.
I'm glad we were able to come out here and do it. We have to thank Princeton High School and Coach Gasser for allowing us to do this.
Of course. Now I got a question for you guys and Andrew too.
Okay.
So let's say the winner of this game here. Does that give them momentum going into the playoffs? Because last year Rosewood lost this game, and you see how far they got into the playoffs. So does this game really matter into the playoffs?
The problem for last year, I think, for Princeton was they had 3 weeks before they played the next game. By the time they got on the field, I mean, most coaches are used to 1 week off, but having to get guys come out there 3 weeks, just lounge around, and you're talking about for 2 of those weeks, they're waiting to find out who they're playing.
Sure. Yeah.
So you're kind of like, you get into a lull, especially when you look at it, they were, I think, the number 2 seed behind Tarboro. I think you get into a lull and you say, kind of maybe mail it in just a little bit versus Rosewood, who I think had 1 bye week.
And both of these teams are going to get a bye regardless of this game, no matter the result. They're that good.
Well, actually, no. If Princeton loses, they would stay the 5 seed.
Oh.
So if Princeton loses, they would stay the 5 seed.
So they would play next week.
They would have to play next week. Princeton feels a little disrespected right now because they are projected as a 5 seed.
They let us know.
It's really just how the playoffs are kind of seeded when you look at it. Conference champions go in first. So the conference champions right now, for some reason, in the playoff race, Rosewood holds the tiebreaker right now. So of course, whoever wins gets that tiebreaker, and if Rosewood wins, they get the number 1 seed in the single 1A. And I think that there's not a team in the one single A that can stop them from getting to the state title game.
Wow.
I think,
but if Rosewood loses, they drop down to the 3 seed because they're no longer the
regardless, the top 8 seeds on each for 1A and for 4A. But since we're talking 1A,
Princeton, the best Princeton can do is win, and then there'll be a 3 seed in the 1AA, which means they would get a bye. But they would, in order to get to the state title game, they got to go through Edenton, Holmes, and Tarboro.
And you know how Tarboro is, and Edenton's had a really good year out there.
I would just argue that bye, and ask any coach in this area. We talked to Steve Brooks off the air last Friday night after our broadcast, and he was adamant that fortunately at the 3A level he doesn't have to worry about it. But he was just adamant that bye is not a reward, and that football is a game of rhythm and momentum and routine.
That is true.
And he said, man, you're not only, to your point about you're waiting to find out who you're playing, but you're almost going back into camp mode of just hitting each other for a week, or in Princeton's case last year, I think 3 weeks. He said, and the team that you play is coming off a game, so they're already kind of worked up and ready to go. And I realize it's out of necessity with the way the 1A playoffs are structured, but that's something moving forward I think's really got to be taken a long look at, because it's not an advantage to the team to get the bye. It's not.
I think the one thing is for Princeton, I think they would benefit from one bye week this week. Just when you consider Jaden Brooks, his ankles, he tweaked it probably about 3 weeks ago. And then you look at Harley Bartholomew, could probably use another week as well if he doesn't play. And, of course, when you have your 2 best weapons at full health, you're going to be in a lot better shape than trying to play Tarboro and you're coming off of 7 straight weeks of football.
Well, let me ask all y'all this there. So suppose Friday night game is pretty much in hand around the 3rd quarter. Do you start pulling your guys for playoff purposes, or maybe if it's still tight, or do you say, look, this game is more important than the playoffs? Because
I'd pull whoever is kind of banged up already. I'd just go ahead and pull them.
I'm with that. I think trying to get some experience.
I mean, especially when you're talking about if it's just Harley and Jaden, you have other backs who can go downhill for a little bit. I mean, because they've had to rely on them the last 2 weeks. So
I was gonna say having an offense like the single week, you gotta have backs that are ready to go. I mean, I feel like
that they have 10 guys listed on their roster.
Everybody running back.
No, we did the ACOT game where like the players were just getting like injured every 3rd play. And it was like
cock and rows.
It was unbelievable how it was like, oh my God, if they don't sit people down, they're not gonna have anybody play next week.
Yeah,
it was that was just.
And then of course we're gonna go down the road a little bit here. ACOC versus Eastern Wayne. That's a big one too.
It's a big one because ACOC could pretty much like sweep all of the Wayne County.
I believe that would be the first time that anyone has run the gauntlet of the Wayne County crown. I think somebody said 8 years.
Perhaps we need to create a fictional Wayne County championship moving forward.
I think we should.
Even though
the WWE belt.
They don't all play.
You gotta get a belt.
It's funny. We did a phone interview. Now I think about it with Steve Brooks earlier this season, and he mentioned something about one of our goals every year is to win the Wayne County championship, and I couldn't fit into the interview. Coach, is that actually a thing? But apparently, whatever it takes to motivate your kids.
Well, I mean, those guys really want to beat each other too. I mean,
let's talk about it. They're going to be at full health now because you got Dede back, Dede Vaughn for quarterback for Eastern Wayne. Now you got Clay Matthews, Seth Shepard, Honron is back, I believe. You got 2 teams basically at full strength. Who do y'all think is going to win that game?
I think ACON pretty handily.
I mean,
handily.
I think the Golden Falcons
I think I went with 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns for ACON.
I think for me, the thing, having seen both those teams multiple times this season, is to go back to a word everyone used earlier, is discipline. Because Eastern Wayne, you watch them, it's not a lack of talent on either side of the ball. They're big up front, offensively and defensively. Probably some of the best offensive and defensive linemen, in the area. Think about Nick Barrett.
Yeah. Duke and Tennessee offered.
But for them, especially having seen them against North Lenore with fumbles and penalties.
They had 7 turnovers?
Yeah, lost, I think, 7 fumbles in that game.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time understanding why. And there's older guys on that team in really key positions too.
I mean, and you think about it too. I went to them against New Bern. New Bern scored 2 touchdowns on the exact same play. Coach is literally yelling at him. That's what I'm talking right here. Then you hear the thing. He's like, dang! And then New Bern's gone for 80 yards.
That's what New Bern does.
I also, you know, I love the way Desmond Vaughn plays. He's fresh. He's fresh.
I know you do.
And so I just think that he's gonna come in there like he's a senior. This is his last game basically because they're not making the playoff. Yeah. So you playing with house money. So your job is to be the spoiler. Your job is to go in there and spoil Acoc's fun.
You think they're gonna spoil it?
I would not be shocked if we still ain't beat Acock.
I wouldn't be shocked either.
In fact, I'm calling it right now.
Ooh, okay.
On the podcast.
On Facebook Live, on Twitter Live.
Steve Brooks, there. I love you, man. I love you, dude. I know you're going to be with us next week.
Steve
I
Brooks,
love you.
Come get your boy now.
But I'm telling you right now, I got a feeling
come get your
Eastern Wayne is going to surprise some folk on Friday night. And I got the Goldsboro, so you already know I don't like the Warriors.
We also know you're the president of the Desmond Vaughn fan club.
He really is.
I just love Great Town.
So nonetheless, it should be a great game.
Do you think Desmond Vaughn is the best quarterback in Wayne County?
Oh, God.
You're just going to make everybody mad now.
Here we go. Well,
you asked the question.
Go ahead. Usually, I'm the one asking the question.
If you had one game to win, which Wayne County quarterback are you taking?
Woo! Right now.
Oh my.
Okay, let me put an asterisk beside it because I have not seen Jacobs play because he's been injured. Now that he's back, if we get a chance to see him during the playoffs, I don't know. But from what I saw in the previous year, I thought Jacobs was going to be the guy this year between him and Vaughn. Now, that being said, Clay Matthews is a beast. Will Harris has grown out of nowhere.
Yeah,
last year he sprouted like 4 or 5 inches for Rosewood.
I think Will's going to play a big role this week.
I think Will is more mature this year. If I had to put my foot down and tell you who the best quarterback is, as far as talent, leadership,
it's hard to pay against Clay.
I would say Clay. I would say Clay.
Yeah. I think
Clay makes the move.
I think I have Will right now leading our quarterback of the year rankings.
Really?
Our power rankings. But I think the reason why though is obviously look at Rosewood. He's led them to 9 straight wins. And, I mean they're on the verge of their.
You know his motto is wins over stats.
Yeah, wins over stats.
That's his motto.
If we were having a safer conversation about most improved quarterback, it would be for me because we were at the Eastern Finals last year at Pamlico. And that first half, it was to watch him struggle with accuracy issues and hitting guys that were open or relatively covered was kind of alarming. And then he made a touchdown throw to Jack White right before halftime that really seemed to give that team a shot in the arm. And to watch him this season and how he has improved not only in the intermediate passing game but in the deep passing game as well. Because that was my biggest question for Will coming into this year is I got to see you be more. They're going to give you more opportunities to be more involved in the passing game down the field with Davian Thompson and Jack White. Got to see you be more accurate. And to his credit, he really has been.
So and the one thing I got to say too is when you look at Rosewood and Pamlico, that game.
Sure.
Now I think that they probably would have went to a fade for Zach Brogdon. Because when you look at it, Zach Brogdon, he had as J. Mike told me, he had a 5'6" corner on him. And we know Zach Brogdon.
Let's
6'5".
be clear. Coach Britt told us in the offseason prior to week 1 that last play of the game was supposed to be a pass. And he called it, there was a miscommunication. Interpret that how you will. That word can mean a million different things, right?
But football, there's all sorts of different terms and stuff. So maybe Will heard one term, and
they tried 3 times on that line.
In that sequence, they had used their final timeout in that goal to go sequence was basically state championship to go. Get to the state finals. There was a spike involved to stop the clock, and so things were moving a million miles an hour for a quarterback who was a 10th grader at the time. So you don't know where the disconnect was, but on that final play, he stuck it in Finch's belly. He was supposed to pull it back out, and it never came out. So don't know how widely known that is, but that's actually what happened.
Okay.
All right.
But I think this year, this game right here this week is going to be important, I think, for both teams because going into the playoffs, having a game like this to get you really focused for November, the rest of November, and hopefully first week of December, who knows. It could really help both teams, I think.
How important is the coaching in this game as far as Britt and Gaster? As far as, are they going to try, is it a chess match? Does I mean, are they going to try to adjust to each other's, or is it just pretty much, these guys here?
I think the chess match between Travis Gassner and Rosewood defensive coordinator Jason King.
I like that.
Is if you're looking at a coaching matchup for this game, that's the one.
Yeah, because I think really, I don't know. I think Princeton offensively is going to do what they're going to do. And
it's going north-south.
Either Rosewood's going to stop it or they're not. And then when it comes to Rosewood, I think for them is how much. Because the thing for Rosewood is they're so balanced offensively, both in passing and both in running. So maybe, perhaps, they probably can mix it up a little bit more and kind of keep Princeton off. So maybe that's the big matchup. Really, just seeing how tricky does Rosewood get to try to overcome.
How long do you stay with the plan if you're Rosewood? Let's say your running game is not being effective, like in the first quarter and a half, and you say, you know what, we got to throw it more. Do you just abandon the run, or do you be like,
I don't think Robert Britt would do
because
that.
if they're down 21-7 in the second quarter.
I saw them at the 7-on-7 FCA camp, and
a great camp, by the way.
Yeah, and he straight out told me, he's like, this doesn't really help us that much because we pass. He said maybe 20% of the time versus 80% of the time run. So I don't think there's going to be anything that Princeton can do to get them away from the running game. Because a lot of times when you look at the running game, even if it's not working, you can't get it together. Because sometimes you're just waiting for that
yeah.
one.
There's always, like, with a team that's a run-first offense with that type of offense, it's going to look like 2 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 2 yards, 80 yards.
I do think
sometimes it happens.
And we saw this some last week against North Duplin. How their defense holds up against that single wing and how long they're on the field, because you got to think about a run-predicated offense is meant to keep the opposing offense on the sideline. So you got to go into the game knowing I'm probably going to get 3, maybe 4 fewer possessions than I normally would. Mm-hmm. So if they do get a couple scores behind, can you afford to keep pounding it with Fenty and George? Because I think athletically for Rosewood on the outside with Thompson and then Brogdon's a matchup problem, and we saw Jack White in the slot some last week against North Duplin. If those matchups are there and they're a couple scores behind and I might only get 4 possessions in the game, you darn well better be aggressive.
You have to.
I think the one thing though that could go in Rosewood's favor, Princeton hasn't had a close contest in
like 8 weeks, I would say, because they played
7-8 weeks.
They played who they played close, was it Granville Central?
Granville Central.
Okay,
Granville Central's really been the only close game they've had this year.
So
is Princeton's offense as well conditioned enough where you're going to say, because most of the time these guys are breaking off 60, 70-yard runs a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because watching Rosewood last week against North Duplin, that was the first time I would argue that they felt. I realized there were some moments in the Wake Christian game that ended at like midnight that were close, but let's be honest, they were never going to lose that game, not at home. No. They had not felt game pressure since they were at ACOC week 1.
Right.
So to see Rosewood down 21-7 early in the third quarter last week was cool for us to see that, because they hadn't felt game pressure since week 1.
And that's the one thing that I kind of had to think about. Does it give Princeton an advantage because they beat the crap out of North Duplin, or does it give Rosewood the advantage of they've had a high pressure situation in the last 2 weeks?
Well, we talked about it before the North Duplin game, and I do a monologue before every game, and I said it with a trap game. Yeah.
Hey, is there a camera panning with like Andrew coming in with the Chris Collinsworth camera panning? Like, we bring in Chris,
my partner. I mean, we try to make it fun. We also try to give you some history, history behind the series and the game and what's coming up in that game. And so when we did the monologue, I called it a trap game. And I was like, I see these guys probably are not thinking about North Duplin, but Princeton just put 50-some points on North Duplin the week before. So in my mind, I was like, Rosewood's going to have to put 60 on these guys. Yeah. They got to. And they barely got out of there with the skin of their teeth.
Yeah. And I think the one thing is
playing in Duplin County School is tough.
North Duplin is in this conference has been looked at as the NC State between Princeton, because these three have all been in the conference since the inception of this conference. It's been Princeton, Rosewood, and
North
Duplin. So North Duplin's kind of been in that state slot where like they're trying to get.
They're just trying to make it.
Rosewood.
They're trying to make it scary for the other two.
Yeah, see, I didn't know how good North Duplin kind of really is until we saw them to the point where we were like, next year they're going to be really, really good.
So many juniors and sophomores.
So many juniors and sophomores.
Yes.
So it's going to
Yes,
elevate
they
them
are.
next year. So I don't
You gotta
know.
realize they were just in the state championship.
I was about to
Exactly,
say,
2017,
give them credit
2017.
for last week because, man, if I was one of those kids playing for Hugh Martin, I'm like, don't forget, 2 years ago, we were 14-0 and lost in the state finals.
Yeah.
And now this team that comes in that's one of our oldest rivals that went to the Eastern Finals last season comes in here, and we have a chance to basically like throw a huge wrench in their season and give them credit.
That would have changed pretty much the entire small way.
Through 2.5 quarters, they outplayed Rosewood, and the Rosewood State made some adjustments defensively. We talked to Robert Britt today. He said, we made a defensive line adjustment there late in the second quarter, really, sunk it in at halftime last week, and our kids really responded. So give Rosewood some credit for finding a way to win that game. But man, Hugh Martin has to look at what his kids did last week against a good Rosewood team. So I don't know, other than some turnovers in the second half and not executing on some big fourth downs, I don't know what more he could have asked for.
Right.
North Duplin, all those Duplin County football teams are so good.
Speaking of Duplin County, East Duplin versus Goldsboro.
Transition, there we go.
I love the segue.
He's the segue king.
5-5. East Duplin comes in against 5-5 Goldsboro.
Goldsboro coming off of
Winner-
2 huge wins.
Winner gets a better playoff seeding. Right now, Goldsboro's in at 13 seed. I believe East Duplin is down at the 14 seed in the 2AA. So guys, does Goldsboro get this win?
I remember doing that game last year at Goldsboro, and there was a pivotal interception that got returned for a touchdown that Goldsboro threw. It was a big difference in that ball game.
Yeah, 7-point loss.
We had Ray in the booth when we did the last Rosewood game, right?
Yes,
we had Tim Ray in the broadcast booth.
Ray was smack talking me on his way out.
We found out that Jaquiz was kind of a little hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that plays into this game Friday night with East Duplin.
Yeah, I think Jaquiz set out the last 2 games.
So I mean,
did he get hurt against
you gotta. I mean, I don't know.
He played a little bit last week.
Is this a must win for Goldsboro to get into the playoffs, or are they automatically in?
No, they're going to be in either way just because they got 5 wins in probably the toughest 2A conference in the state.
Okay. East Central 2A has been very good this year.
But if they win, Midway is going to lose to Clinton probably.
Clinton's been that good.
So that would put them at a 3 seed, which means they would get seeded probably as 10 or 11. And then, on the off chance that James Keenan beats Wallace Rose, that's not going to happen. But on the off chance, then you get an automatic playoff break, and then you get the host.
Yeah, that's what has to happen for Goldsboro to get the number 2 spot out of the East Central.
That's crazy. That's unbelievable.
It is mathematically possible, but physically, I'm not sure.
I don't know because I haven't seen Jam and Jacobs play. I know with Tay Hooker. Tay Hooker, he was maturing through the season. He got thrown in there and under the fire real quick.
The biggest problem for him was the interceptions.
The interceptions. Those were the interceptions of fumble. So I don't know. We talked to Ray, and Tim Ray was like, I may use them both in the same time.
He did use them last week. I think Jacobs finished with 2 touchdowns. No, against not Midway.
Against James Keenan.
Against James Keenan. Jacobs had 2 touchdowns. Hooker had a touchdown.
If you look at their those 2 wins against James Keenan and Midway, and their win over Bedingfield probably got them into the playoffs. Yeah. So Coach Ray, 2 years in, getting 2 playoff appearances in the first 2 years.
I think the thing that I like about Goldsboro, and we talked about game pressure a minute ago, you think about how many games, especially before they got into conference play, that were decided in the last 3, 4, 5.
They were right there, like Southern Wayne game, the Eastern Wayne game, all came down to the last.
They could have won that one as well. So it is interesting that they're still trying to find some chemistry with a young quarterback this late in the season. But I do like the fact that they're battle tested, and now they didn't win all of those games that were decided in the last couple of minutes. But boy, they've been in a lot of tight games. So for a team that's had a lot of different issues this season with turnovers that you guys alluded to and injuries, I love the fact that they've been in the thick of a fire.
Against Aycock, you turn it over 7 times. If you turn it over maybe 4 times, you might win that game.
Yeah, sure.
And of course, that little play at the end that was wasn't a catch and fumble and touchdown.
Yeah, down there by the goal line.
But when it comes to things like that, that's a judgment call by the ref. And if you put yourself in a position where a judgment call decides your fate,
don't turn the ball over 7 times.
That
call
too.
Doesn't matter.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen. So let's ask the question I've always asked Andrew a lot of times. Wayne County.
Yeah.
Your top 3 football programs. who was the best.
Here's the
three.
caveat: even if it's your list and you take ownership of that list, Averill's going to question your list. So be prepared to say that's your opinion.
But I'm just saying,
questioned.
after all I've learned from you already today, Kyle, I just want to know who is your top three in Wayne County
This year or
this year, right
this
here.
year?
No, this
year.
This year.
Rosewood is top one. I think Rosewood's top one.
Okay.
Aycock 2.
Okay.
And then Goldsboro 3.
But Aycock beat Rosewood.
That's
And you
why
go and you go and you go
But
on
see,
wins.
here's
You
the
told me
thing,
you go
though.
on wins. Now.
Here's the thing, though. Rosewood has a easier slate. They have a easy because they're a 1A school. They're not supposed to be Aycock. Aycock should win that game every single time. I mean, you could argue that Aycock should win that game by more than what they did.
Andrew.
I'm with. By the way, my list is Aycock, Rosewood, and then.
You have to know the origin story of this question is when I was asked this live on the air during the Rosewood Union game about 2 weeks ago, while we're at a Rosewood game, so that always factors into it as well. I was being asked that at the time where I didn't have all the information about Aycock's injuries and how was Clay, how was Seth Shepard, how was Noah Honryan,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there watching Rosewood dismantle Union while being asked this, and I said, yes, Rosewood lost to Aycock. But at the time, because I don't know how Aycock's health is, if you're asking me today, I am going to say that Rosewood's my top team because I don't know if Aycock is Clay 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do agree that Aycock should beat Rosewood every time they play, although there have been some close games over the years.
I mean, heck, last game was really close if you consider the fact that Rosewood turned it over 4 times, 2 going into the end zone.
But are we basing the fact that Aycock should beat Rosewood every time because they have better athletes?
Because they have more people.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You have almost 7. You have
They
over
have like a
700
resource
more
advantage.
students.
Yeah, I guess it's.
So you have 700 more students to pick your athletes from. You have more opportunity to have better athletes. And when it comes to football, conditioning is key. So for Rosewood, you're running 35 deep. In 1A, you're one of the deepest teams in the state.
If you got
3A,
that's true. That is true.
So what if Rosewood and Aycock play at the end of the year now? Who would win that game?
Oh, good question. Now, see you.
I think
you see where I was getting to?
Yeah. Okay. Now,
Andrew?
in November.
Right now,
at full strength.
At full strength, if we had a game, if last week's game was Aycock and Rosewood, how would that go down?
I think it would be a 1-score game.
I do think it would be a lot closer. Unfortunately, conference schedules don't allow you. You would almost have to.
It would have to have been like a reschedule of some sort,
How would that happen?
Of scheduling.
How would that happen though? Who would win the game? Answer the question. I want an answer.
I still think because of depth, I still would have to go with Aycock.
I think it would be Rosewood. Because I think about if Rosewood doesn't turn those two going into the end zone, and then honestly that muff punt set up another touchdown for Aycock. And then the missed kickoff that set up another touchdown for Aycock.
I will say
so that's 4 touchdowns.
Rosewood special teams has kind of been iffy.
Yeah, Rosewood special teams.
That is an advantage. I think Princeton could take care of.
That's also where depth comes in.
Yeah.
Your special teams are going to be better because you have more people.
I will say when we talked to Coach Brooks prior to the start of the season back in the summer, he was very candid with us that last season they were fortunate to get out of Rosewood with a 12-0 victory because he felt like Rosewood had got the better of that game, especially between the 20s.
Yeah.
That they were the better team. Aycock just happened to execute in the red zone, a little bit better. But Rosewood had several drives in that game last season that they just couldn't finish inside the red zone.
Right.
But they were, the better team.
I just think this Rosewood team is extremely talented. I mean, if they had another 500 students to pick from,
is this Rosewood team this year better than the one from last year?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, just when you look
definitely
at
agree with
how
that.
improved Will Harris is. When you look at Damani Fenty is probably as good as
Good advertising.
last year.
Michael Reed.
Michael Reed. I think he's probably as good as him. Then you look
Avante and Davion.
George.
Avante and Davion have. They got. I mean, heck, Rocco Raper is catching some passes from him.
Logan Merritt too. We haven't
Logan Merritt.
We haven't mentioned him yet.
Then of course Jack White.
Zach Brogdon. I mean,
Zach Brogdon. I mean, they have so many more weapons this year, and I think.
But
that's
do they
why
use those weapons? I mean, are they potent enough to whereas if Fenty and Avante is giving you these touchdowns left and right, do you go and say, you know what, we gotta use our passing game some more?
They're probably going to have to use it.
When you have that many weapons, you have options. So you have a lot of different things that you can try to do. When you don't have weapons and you are relying on one or two guys, that's when it gets really tough for you, because if one guy is slow, then you don't have anybody else to turn to. This year they have so many options and so many guys that they can go to.
We were talking about how Friday's game is going to be played as far as what does Rosewood do, because like you said, they have options. And I was arguing with Andrew. I said, man, I think if they go more quick slant passes to their big receivers and let them guys get the yards after the catch, I mean, that may surprise Chris a little bit.
Problem in space, and I think the point Averil was making to me this week is you're facing a run-heavy offense. So like we said earlier, you don't know how many possessions you're going to get. So while you may be tempted to try to throw it deeper to Thompson or to Brogdon, those are, in the high school level, still lower percentage throws when you're getting fewer possessions in the game. Whereas if you get a 10 to 15 yard pass to Thompson and let him work in space, it's a higher percentage throw. You're not jeopardizing your possessions as much, I think, as to what Averil was getting to.
Who's the faster team between Princeton and Rosewood? You got me. Is Princeton pretty fast?
It's pretty close. I think Jaden Brooks is probably the fastest between everyone. I think Jaden Brooks is probably the fastest. I mean, he's a sophomore himself, and I mean he's already run for 1,200 yards this year, and I think he sat out 2 games. I think that he's going to have a chance at maybe possibly getting some ACC offers. And I think in a year or two, you might be looking at him maybe breaking Johnny Frazier's record for rushing touchdowns. I mean, Lamar was pretty close last year if he had more games. So I think Jaden's probably the fastest, but I say overall it's about the same. I mean, both of these offensive linemen are lean and they get out and they run and they're aggressive. And they don't really nobody really makes theirs on brute force.
Yeah, you think Jaden Brooks could have a shot here at your Player of the Year at the end?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're looking
between him and Amarion Hampton, would you say right now?
Definitely. I mean, Amarion right now is at 1,700 yards already.
He gets a touchdown like every 12 plays that he touches the ball. That's how good he's been.
Like that. He has like 20 touchdowns already.
Yeah.
So he's phenomenal.
So who's your best player in Wayne County?
The best player in Wayne County. I think Damani Fenty has shown himself as the best player this year.
I think the thing I like about him is I think back to the game at Pamlico last year in the Eastern Finals when Mike Reed went out I want to say in the first quarter, and it was pretty much their run game was Fenty or Fenty. And
Fenty or Fenty, I like that.
And to see him go for over 200, I mean, it was cool that night. So I'm sure that helps him be able to just absorb that workload. But man, you talk about a bell cow and a workhorse, and to go over 230 and have a chance there at the end to get to a state final. I like his durability. So I would say, if I had to pick a best player in the county, man. It's hard to choose between
Fenty, Tay Jackson,
Tay Jackson, Clay, Elijah Wan,
Will Harris has played well,
Avante,
Wayne County's football has been so good, it's just not showing in the records. I mean, for most of these
first half of the season, we were all about Mr. McLean. That guy was unbelievable.
I have a great photo of him making that.
See, I think Elijah Wan is as good as Jackie's, and I think he'll probably project more to the college level. Just when you look at his size, I mean, he's 6'2".
I think that's what's so great from a talent standpoint for Princeton and Rosewood, this game being played this week right before the postseason, is because you can make a really strong argument that neither one of these teams will face another team as good as the one they're facing this week until third, fourth round.
Late November,
So, almost like the way Rosewood approaches the ACOT game at the beginning of the year is just kind of a deep look into the mirror to see where you need to get better. This is a great opportunity right before the postseason to see what's that last 2 or 3 or 4 things we need to shore up before the postseason, because a great opponent will show you that.
Right. And the one thing I do want to say is talking to my good friend Justin Hayes, who's now at the Daily Herald.
Shout out to Valley.
Yeah. He's seen Gates County. He said Gates County is probably the toughest test for Rosewood. And then right now they're the 8th seed, so Rosewood would see them in the second round if Gates County were to win their first round game.
Wow.
So, sure. But also, we want to talk a little bit more about scheduling. Some teams that we'd like to see play each other.
I think when we always, we've seen a couple of teams for 2 years now, and I think that the most exciting matchup that we probably would want to see would probably be Aycock and Princeton.
I think that would be awesome.
That would be such a good game.
And we talked to Coach Brooks about it Friday night, and he was like, "Man, Coach Gaster and I are great friends. You know, we'd love to make it happen." I think for them, there's some series in their non-conference that they kind of feel locked into for some some of those games.
When you look at ACOG's schedule, I don't know who they could let go of, though. I mean, who do you really let go? I mean, you start with Rosewood, then you go to Goldsboro. Then you have the Green Central game, which that has become a very
that's legendary. Yeah, according to Coach Brooks, it was a legendary game.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, because last year ACOG played Goldsboro.
ACOG has Hunt. That's the one game I'd say I'd probably take off. I'd take away Hunt, but then Hunt is a 3A team, so are you losing AMPR because you're putting one of the top 1A's teams while taking off a middling 3A team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that Hunt loss probably would hurt their AMPR, but they played it. Remember, it was that week of the hurricane.
Yeah.
And they had to move the game up, and it kind of like threw off the plans and the routine thing that you guys have been talking about. And I think it's just been. I think that game. That's really the only thing I could maybe get a safe talk, I guess.
It was funny talking to Brooks because he's like, "Man, I'm at the point in my career where I'm just trying to help, our athletic department make some money."
Yeah,
because he knows. That game would, almost be a sellout. So
because you got so many people in ACOG, in Pikeville are also transplants from the Princeton. I mean, Coach, I forgot Coach. Is it Holly? Yeah, Coach Holly. Coach Holly. He played here. He's from here.
It's like proximity, location. It's perfect.
I'm about to say it would probably be better than Hunt at this point as far as gate wise.
Yeah, I mean it'd be a draw. I mean,
if you beat the two of the top 1A teams in the state, I mean
that helps you.
Do you think ACOG could beat Princeton?
I think it'd be close every.
I think it'd be a really close game.
Yeah,
really close game.
Just because 100%.
Make it happen. Make it happen. Make it happen, Brooks and Gaster. Make it happen.
Yeah, whoever we got to
do it.
Make it happen. Let's make it happen.
I think it would just come down to how successful ACOG's offense would be, because ACOG's air raid offense. Problem with it is when you're playing a team like Princeton, if you
go
don't 3 and
score,
out,
if you don't score and you give up the ball quickly, it's not looking pretty.
And you have to stop that single wing.
Because you know how Princeton's going to do it. They're going to have to try like a 15-play, 80-yard drive, 9 minutes, something like that.
See, Princeton does have drives like that.
They do have quick drives. They have drives like that when they need
it. Most of Princeton's drives I've seen has been 5 or 6 plays, 60, 70 yards. Wow.
Yeah.
That's what they.
That North Duplin drive last week in the beginning of the game that took up like 7 and some change. I mean, that was the most demoralizing I've ever seen. Rosewood was like, oh my God, they just sat there and methodically ran down the field with the. And I don't know if Princeton's going to do that Friday night, or is this going to be a quick punch in the mouth, or if Rose is going to punch Princeton in the mouth first. I don't know. How does home field play into all that? Is home field important at this game?
I think home field will be a good advantage here.
You know what the problem is for home
Rose
field?
is going to have a really good support
right down the street.
It's
so
going to be a great crowd.
It's going to be about half. I think it's going to be about half and half. You're going to see
like the first few minutes of the second half, like that first few drives. I think are going to be.
I think the first few drives are going to tell us what type of game it is, because I could see them coming out and scoring back and forth, or I could see them coming out, both of them kind of excited, and they make a penalty or two and have to punt. And you see the first 2 or 3 drives where it's just kind of both teams trying to fill each other out, trying to feel the rhythm. And then eventually one team will figure it out and the other team will, of course, somebody has to lose. There's no ties in football.
No time.
Do I get to talk about Strikers game of the week?
We'll talk about that.
We'll do it right at the end.
We're doing some more schedule. The one thing that I'd like to see is I'd love to see a Goldsboro Rosewood game.
Oh yeah. Woo. That'd be good. I like that. Give me that.
When they were briefly, in the conference together.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that they don't, that they don't play more, because you do get some of those crossover games in the county from teams that aren't in the same in the same league. And shout out to Rosewood and Spring Creek for still playing each other, and Spring Creek and North Dukewood still playing. But it's unfortunate that we don't get, even not every year, but just an occasional like a Rosewood Eastern Wayne or like you said, a Rosewood Goldsboro or something like that.
I think Rosewood Goldsboro will be perfect just because both of those schools are really close in numbers. I mean, it's about 200 students. I think Goldsboro probably has 5 or 10 more players listed on their roster right now, but I know it's a game that Goldsboro players want to play because I've had them on my IG comments tell me, hey, how come Rosewood doesn't play Goldsboro anymore? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it could be maybe.
I just hope we can make. Hopefully, we can make that happen.
I mean, when you look at Goldsboro, normally they have a lot more athletes, and that's hard to play against, especially for a Rosewood team. And you got to think that's going to be a chippy game too.
Oh yeah,
100%.
So,
now I know we haven't given much love to Southern Wayne, but I want to give a shout out to the quarterback, D. Coley. When we saw him against Aycock or Goldsboro, his arm is like almost like Tua, Alabama. Like we were highly impressed.
Is he left-handed?
No, he's not left-handed.
Right?
But he was so strong. He was throwing BBs out there. We were like, where was this at? And where's the offense? I mean, that can support him with this, at Southern Wayne. And I don't know the situation in Southern Wayne right now as far as,
I went and saw him last week. It wasn't pretty.
But
when you play Newbern, it's not.
It wasn't even just Newbern. It was a lot of self-inflicted stuff.
I feel like coaches and players were frustrated.
Players argue with players. Coaches arguing with coaches.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and I think that's really the problem right now. The hard part about turning a program around is getting that culture right.
Yeah.
Where a head coach makes a decision, that's it. You can't have someone, on the sidelines, who's on your coaching staff yelling about, why don't you punt like that? Why don't you punt? That's not your decision to make. You're the assistant coach. Be an assistant.
Wow.
And also, if you have a question about that, in game on the sideline is not the time.
Yeah.
That needs to be handled privately, not out for all everyone to see.
Every good coach I've ever talked to, they say for their assistant coaches, they let them coach, even let them instruct, and then if they see that it's wrong, they come back on the side. Hey, this isn't how we want to do this. This is how we should push guys to do it. Instead of doing it so publicly.
How is the hierarchy as far as like play calling for offense and defense? How much influence does the head coach have? Does he's like, I'll make the final call? Does he just turn the game over to the OC?
I think that just depends on the team.
Yeah, it depends on the team situation.
Yeah, I was about to say because some head coaches they still call their own plays, but some of them they elect to hand it over to offensive and defensive coordinator. And then if they see, like, okay, we're throwing the ball too much, let's come back to the ground.
I think Rosewood's a perfect example of that.
I'm about to say, because Britt really doesn't, he doesn't handle a lot of those smaller decisions. He leaves it to his coordinators, and then he'll be coaching. Hey, I saw him against Union. He had a kid was arguing with the ref. He was like, give me 10 push-ups. Right there, kid.
Yes, that's right. I saw
him off the field.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that's really the big difference between coaches and programs is who's leading. Robert Britt is not afraid to let his offensive coordinators and his defensive coordinators get all the praise because he trusts them. And he has no problem with them doing what they do. And he said that the reason why he still loves coaching is because he can pretty much just be big picture stuff versus day to day. He's grinding, trying to teach and coach every single player versus he has a very good staff who does a lot of that for him as well.
He can also handle himself when his fans try to tell him how to coach during a game. Like he did last week. Shout out to Coach Britt for turning around during the game and reminding his fans he's been at it a long time.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
I'm sure that eagle head is going to be right over here. He's going to have it ready at the...
It's going to be over there.
The question is, will Coach Britt wear shorts on Friday night? Because it's going to be cold.
Oh, he's going to... Oh, I'm sure these coaches are going to boss it.
We haven't even talked about it. It could rain. It could rain on Friday.
Yeah, there is an outside shot of rain this weekend, specifically Friday. Could that play a factor?
I think it's going to be early in the morning. The last forecast I saw.
Princeton jokes that they're not as afraid of the rain as Rosewood is. Because, Princeton removed... Princeton
Rosewood moved the game up to Thursday.
Let's be clear why that happened. The following night, Princeton and North Dukewood played on this field. And it was awfully convenient for Rosewood to play Thursday night and then drive just up the road to the school down the road and watch Princeton and North Newport play.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah, they just want.
So
Maybe they wanted to look.
Strategic, huh?
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
They wanted to make a power move, I guess.
You know, we haven't talked about you guys' background. So, Averil, let's talk about you. Who are you? Where you're from? What you do?
And how did you get here?
Well, I've been doing radio for since high school.
Yeah.
Shout out to Goldsboro High School. Off and on. I went to Carolina. Mac is back, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was there the first time, and he's back again. And Clemson, you can thank us later. We're the reason why you're going to get in the playoff. But I've been doing radio and as a program director and DJ on two gospel stations, as well as WGVR. I'm on the afternoons of WGVR from 3 to 7, which is FM 98.3. And I do a lot of things here. And, sports is my love. I play sports at Goldsboro. I play a little football, I play a little baseball. So I have a background also in band, so I'm a music guy as well. Me and Andrew, we've had sports on our station before. And so this last year we came up with, Andrew had the genius idea, yo man, let's do play-by-play in color. And I was like, what? I jumped right in. We jumped right in because we had no experience in doing it. Yeah. We just love sports so much. We were like, let's just do it. We can figure this out. Yeah. And every night you hear us doing the broadcast, we have the most. It's the most fun you ever gonna have. Yeah. We have a lot of inside jokes, but people kind of catch it after a while. And it's. I think we have a great chemistry between both of us because we don't talk over each other. We know when the players come down. I'll say the player or whatever, and Andrew will come right in with he's like the encyclopedia of football for real. This guy's the encyclopedia of Wayne County. He knows pretty much every stat that's in the book, all the history. I don't have to worry about anything. All I got to worry about is first down, fumble, touchdown. That's it. Everything else I give to Andrew. Andrew fills in the gaps. And I love it.
Averil Michaels and Andrew Collinsworth.
I don't know about all of that.
Of course.
I take you over Collinsworth, though.
Averil is actually my church's piano player.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I actually know Kai from well back.
Yeah.
So.
Of course, I interned with him for a little bit at the radio station, learned a little bit about radio. Never got a chance to actually dip my toe in there. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And of course, Averil, you told me one time that you actually were at the Grammys.
Yeah, I actually was the assistant arranger for the Grammys in 2003 and 2004.
Yeah.
And
that is an experience.
So I worked with Kanye, I worked with Beyonce, Prince, and some others, and it was a great experience. And
that's a big flex right there.
To learn.
Beyonce and Prince.
That's said Beyonce, Prince.
I usually don't drop like that, but it was a good experience, and just to see them, how they operate behind the scenes, just as normal people. We're all same people. Some of us are just doing high profile. Like this is a high pro gig for all of us. We're high profile because we're in front of a lot of people. Yeah. Doing, getting the word out about this game here and other games throughout, and it's exciting to me because it's putting our local talent on spotlight. A lot of times, we don't get an opportunity to shine the light on the talent that's in this area. Right. And y'all doing a podcast is giving the opportunity to do that on a weekly basis, and the way y'all cover them, I want to send a shout out to y'all guys because y'all are covering them like crazy. Yeah, and
we tried.
And what y'all do, y'all have sparked the interest up. And just like I said, Andrew and I were so excited to do the podcast. We were like, oh my God, we're gonna be on TV, man! What in the world? We're on radio and nobody sees us, and so
people got to know your face. They know your voice, right?
No, we don't. Obviously,
and you guys are the famous people here. I'm just here for a walk for the ride.
You don't have a problem. You don't have a problem until you go to Texas Roadhouse and somebody asks you what's your pick of the game this week.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, you're like, okay, now that we know who you are.
That's why I stay away from all restaurants and locations during football season. I don't come out until it's over because I don't want to get in that problem because I always have a question of the game for Andrew, and I'll put him on the spot, and I never know what I'm going to ask until right then. And it's like someday I'll be like, yo, who's your top 5 coaches in the county?
Basketball season gonna be Like, you already getting comments from people and all that for basketball.
Yeah,
basketball season's going to be just as bad.
See, look at y'all face when I said that. I said the top
crazy.
the top four coaches. And Andrew always steers me away from answering that question.
Man, you gotta work with those guys. You don't want to make them upset. You know?
I was going to ask the same question about Andrew, about your background.
Andrew, how'd you get here, man?
So I grew up in the not so big town of Eden, North Carolina. Shout out
336
Rockingham County.
Rockingham County, baby.
I moved to Wayne County in August of 2007 to work as a sports writer for the News Argus.
Yep.
Had a great experience there until March of 2014.
Okay.
Left solely for the reason of family. You know, my wife and I had our first daughter in January of that year. And
right, you might have seen her on
that
camera.
Was a little
one. That was our
that's our agent.
She's our booking agent.
She's our booking agent. If you want to call us, call us 555.
Handles all of our appearances.
Yeah,
and you know, and growing up with great parents that I'm still close to, just wanted to be more present in the home because as a sports writer, you guys know a lot of nights and weekends, especially during basketball season, can be rugged.
Yeah.
And so made the difficult decision to walk away from that. Landed at Curtis Media Group and have been in radio and digital advertising sales for over 5 years now. And so before the 2018 season, I went to our manager at the time and said, you may know that we do high school football here on our stations. People that have lived in Wayne County for a long time know that high school football has a long history on WGBR. It went away for about 12 years, unfortunately. We brought it back about maybe 5 years ago. I got to do the pregame show, which we pre-recorded at our stations for about a year and a half, and then we used some guys outside of our company for a couple of years to do the games. I filled in one night at Eastern Wayne and got my first experience to do play-by-play, but I actually went to Liberty University for broadcasting, and I enjoyed it.
In the Johnson County area, we have a girl who actually plays there now, Asia Todd. She scored her first bucket last night.
First college points.
I went there for broadcasting, and when I found that they gave me a camera and sent me out to do my first film assignment and then put me in front of a Mac to edit the videos, kind of where they lost me. Yeah. But I knew I could write, and so I took as many print journalism classes as I could, and that's how I wound up with print. But, you know, like I said, was fortunate last season to be told, well, if you want to continue high school football on our stations, you and Averil are going to do the broadcasting, and neither one of us had much experience. But I have an uncle that lives in Shelby, about an hour south of Charlotte, that is in, I believe, his 51st season of doing high school football on the radio.
Wow, that is awesome.
For Crest High School.
Yeah, Crest is one of the best programs out in that area.
Actually, he and my mom went to high school with David Thompson together. So
there's a story behind that too. If it gets out of hand tomorrow, Friday night, you'll hear that story.
So my uncle is one of my idols, and so to be in year 2 of doing something that I actually went to school for, and you know, never knowing when to get an opportunity to actually do it. And just to echo what Averil said, the support from the ADs and from the players and the parents and the coaches, and just the community since we started this together last season has been incredible. And it's humbling to be able to tell, you know, the story of Wayne County football on Friday nights. And our management has been great. We've added streaming this year, which is something that we were asking for all the way back to last season, to be able to stream our games from Bulls Relay News. And just to work with this guy, man, there's times we're up in the press box live on the air, and I'm like,
ever wanting to fight each other?
Every day.
Somebody's running me my fade.
But no, real talk is I would not do football if I couldn't do it with him, because this guy right here that dude. He holds it down. I got the easy part. You know, all I got to do is call what I see.
Hey, you're the setup man.
That's all I do. I set it up. I give him the layup. He dunks it. He that's Malone right there. I just throw it up, and he does that. And you know,
I do a podcast without liking so
exactly. So before we did play-by-play, I actually, for the station several years ago, we started a show called On the Sideline, where it was just giving scores, and we had the actual people, the family in the stands, calling scores in from around the county. And I had another partner named was Kevin Acree, who would have all the information analysts, you know, all the analytics and everything like that. And people that love high school football, y'all, I'm telling you, these two dudes, Kevin and Andrew, they are like the walking encyclopedias of just Wayne County sports history and literature. And so I knew there was no doubt that I wanted to do it, because I was like, okay, we got to make sure we put a quality product on every Friday night.
I think you guys
to the people, and just make sure we convey to them like, yo, this is the game, and we can look in the stands, and people will hear us do a call, and they're like, oh my God, y'all are like the NFL crew on Monday night. I'm like, no, we just kind of make sure the game was entertaining, because sometimes we've had blowouts. Yeah. And we still got to make it entertaining. Yeah. And so like last week, I think 2 weeks ago, we were talking about A Million Little Things, which is a great show, by the way, which comes on tomorrow night, 9 o'clock on ABC.
We do shameless plugs here on the Just Like Brothers podcast, so, live or not live.
So I mean, to see y'all do what y'all doing here and expanding it, and to put our product with y'all product together, it makes it even bigger now. To whereas the county is seeing a level of sports taken to another level that we haven't seen in forever. Because we don't.
Hey, if y'all gotta ever get like a really big call, hey, send me that. We'll put the video to it, and then we'll do like a little ESPN.
Hey, when we go on playoffs, I don't know where we're going. Now we usually have our schedule laid out for the year. Yeah. But now we are flexing now, so we don't know where we're going.
It's flex season.
It's flex season. So next week, I'm sure we're either gonna follow Aycock or Goldsboro. Probably the next week of that, I'm sure we're gonna probably go to Rosewood.
Now I got a question for y'all.
Here we go.
At halftime, I don't come up on the show.
Oh,
sure. You're more than welcome to.
Hey,
because Andrew does a scoring summary and we do highlights and scores from the county. So unless that Eastern Lane ACOT game was closed, we're gonna have some time to talk.
Truth be told, a couple of weeks ago when we were at the Rosewood Union game, we didn't even know Tim Ray was there. And he's gotten
Tim Ray just came in.
He just walked into the press box. And so there's a few people, Tim Ray.
It was a running clock.
Tim Ray, Steve Brooks, you guys that have earned like just show up status.
All right.
Yeah.
But I hope I've earned that.
The last thing that I would say in terms of our broadcast and what makes us successful is, and I would say this to any young people out there that are man, would love opportunity to do what you guys do or what we do, is there is a lot Monday through Thursday that goes on to make Friday nights happen, whether it is pouring over Max Preps or Carolina Preps or any of the great websites. You guys' website, I use it as a resource as well, and whether it's like finding series history about Princeton Rosewood or statistics or common opponents, especially in the playoffs when you've seen teams you haven't seen all year. There's a lot preparation-wise that goes into recording phone interviews and making sure there's a space in the press box for a broadcast that goes into Friday night. We don't just show up and turn the equipment on, and I think that helps us not be nervous when you're doing a broadcast with a friend.
Preparation
is knowing that you've prepared your rear end all
If you're not prepared, you're going to lose.
Now, of course, we don't do a lot of preparation for this show just because we want to keep it fun and interesting. Of course, we have a little docket of things that we want to get to, but I do think preparation is very important. Just understanding where you're going and what you're doing when you get there.
Yeah, I mean it's key, because if we're not prepared, like we'll do charts every week for the teams, and Andrew he comes up with a game plan of openings to give me all the stats that I can have when we talk about when we go to live. So we usually start the pregame at 6:30, which you can this Friday night starts the Premier Carpet pregame show, and then Andrew will do the interviews with the coaches pre-recorded, and then I'll join them around 6:45, and then we'll have like a little introduction of what to look for, keys of the game, Andrew's keys to victory and things like that. What player to be on the ears and eyes looking out for, because there may be that one player that may surprise us all that night. Like this week, who do y'all think is going to surprise us this week?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question. I think Davion Thompson is going to be the X factor for Rosewood. I've thought that Davion Thompson was the big X factor for them all year long, just because of his ability to run and then also catch passes. Yeah. I think he's their X factor, so I think if he has a big game, Rosewood should win.
I think he could be good. He had a tremendous punt return that set up the game when he touchdown last week. I think he gets to be special in the return game as well.
Yes,
right. And then of course Princeton has I can't think of his name right now. Number 16, Sabor. I can't think of his name. Well, also too, I think Blake. I guess I'll go with my guy Blake Rayner. Blake Rayner, he is their quarterback per se. And of course,
he's the one who orchestrates everything.
Yeah, I mean they've only thrown 9 passes all year, but he's hit. I think he's hit on 5 of them, 5 or 6.
You never know. They could sneak 1 or maybe 2.
Yeah, they throw it deep or they throw it short.
Throw it deep. Every single one of the passes is
people
like
catch
50,
it.
60 yards.
I was going to say people get caught napping and get double move
attempts.
I know,
because normally the throw is only like a 25, 30 yard throw. And then by the time you catch it, because everyone's so used to just run to the ball. By the time, he's gone. It's 50, 60 yards down.
Yeah, I cover a team with an offense like that.
They hit a long one against Rosewood last year. I think that's the thing that stood out in the second half was, you mentioned earlier that single wing is designed to wear you down, and there were some runs in the second half last year that were 5 and 6 yard gains in the first half that turned into big plays in the second half. And I think that's going to be something to watch on Friday night as well.
All right, gentlemen, I think we have. I'm pretty sure we've gone at least an hour by now.
We can talk all night long.
Yeah, I think this has been fun.
Yeah, this has been fun. I think it's one of our best shows yet. This broadcast is, of course, sponsored by We Up Athletic Group.
Shout out to Coach Oates.
Yep, and Coach Jones for believing in us. And then also shout out to
Mo's Automotive,
who's also sponsoring this in Kinston.
Mention WJG Sports at Mo's Automotive. You get $5 off your service. Yes, we have. Yeah, we have like a little bit of an advertisement for that too.
Yeah,
okay. We're y'all doing the thing.
Yeah, we're trying. Hey, we can't sell ads like Andrew does.
Yeah, we
the closer, y'all. He's also the closer. He's also the closer. If you need some advertising on Curtis Media Group, please see Andrew Stevens.
All right, so Andrew, anywhere on social media or anything that you want to plug before we go?
Just, more so than our personal accounts, just our WGBR Game of the Week account. That's a great resource, especially with the playoffs coming up, to know where to be, especially when your favorite team is out of town and you can't make that trip. Where to be, so you know where to listen either on the radio or online. And we have a player of the game, and so we like to shout those kids out on social media as well.
Gotcha. Averil, anything you want to plug?
Just listen to the game Friday night on FM 98.3 FM. You can also stream live on GoldsboroDailyNews.com.
Even if you're in the stands here, you can still listen.
And we have people actually listen to the game in the stands. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. And we're like, what?
I know, you see it, but you want to see how it gives you a feel.
It gives you that like you're watching it on TV.
So we're excited about it, and this is the game. This is the game we kind of look forward to for the last 2 years.
Maybe the biggest game.
It's the biggest game right here.
Yeah.
And I will say too, we have a post game, so even if you're here Friday night, catch us, in the car on the way out as well.
Oh, I think, you might catch me up there.
I tell you, y'all both are welcome to join us at the halftime or the post game to talk about maybe the playoffs. After the game is over, to find out what y'all feel about the seedings and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. So,
what about
Micah? Of course, you have anything that you want to plug yourself?
I'm going to Arundel Parrott Academy versus Grace Christian Saturday.
So
eight-man state championship game, Division I. Parrott has probably been the best 8-man team all year.
Yeah.
They're a little bit banged up going into this week. They play Saturday.
Lawhorn questionable. We don't know if he's going to be there or not.
Yeah, okay. but they do have freshman Wilkes Thomas, who's played great at quarterback all year. Nick Harrison, wide receiver. They're playing a Grace Christian team, of course. Any Raleigh school, take them seriously. The Triangle schools are usually very good at football.
I said in Grace Christian, of course, they lost to Arundel Parrott.
They lost the first time they played, yes. But, of course, when you have one game for a state championship, everything's out the window.
Right.
Nonetheless, the Parrott Patriots and the Grace Christian Eagles this Saturday. I'll be there. Noose News is streaming that game live on YouTube, so check out my guys, Graham Hill and Parker Mitchell, on the call. And I'll be, of course, taking stats and all that,
Right,
trying to do my best.
You can find him on Instagram and Twitter at StrikerNation24_. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, and at LMA Preps, if you also want high school sports updates from around Eastern North Carolina, whichever account you prefer, I prefer neither. Kai,
of course, you'll be able to catch highlights from this Princeton-Rosewood game. I will be only at this game. I'm not going anywhere else.
At MJ Kai Jones.
You can catch the entire game on video. Unless it starts to be like a 60-0 blowout, I'm gonna go up to the booth myself.
Well, we like to thank everyone who joined us on Facebook Live, which is right there. Twitter Live, which is right there. And this has been one of the funnest things.
So wait a minute, y'all predictions? Who you got?
Oh,
we picked Rosewood. We picked Princeton.
He had Princeton close.
What's the score?
Princeton by 48-42.
Wow. 50-41 Princeton for me.
We're not going to pick her. We're calling the game.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, they can't pick.
Right.
Coach Brooks, go get your boy.
Yeah, he's in trouble now.
I love you, Brooksy.
Brooksy's our guy. We love him.
Right.
Of course, you can follow us on IG at WJG Sports.
Over 1,000 followers now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shout out to y'all. Of course, Facebook. If you're right there.
Leave us a like.
Leave us a like.
If you left us comments, we really appreciate it, whether positive or negative. We appreciate feedback.
On Twitter Live, WJG_sports. If you want to follow us on Twitter, that's where
subscribe to the YouTube channel too.
Is. And of course, you can find me at MMJ Kai Jones. It stands for multimedia journalist, not something like Michael something Jordan that somebody asked it before.
Michael M. Jordan Jones.
Y'all legendary. These are legendary in the making right here.
Man,
we really appreciate it. This is the beginning right here of a county network that's on the way, y'all. These two guys right here.
Thank you.
They're appreciate it right now.
All right, so I guess that is it. Thank you for joining. And
we'll see you this weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Go Tar Heels.
Go Tar Heels.
Tonight, Notre Dame.
If you missed any of this, we'll have it on WJG Sports YouTube right after.
Peace and many blessings.